Hi everyone, this is egulio. Today I'll be making a tier list for the update 6.9.1 of Bloons TD Battles. The update's been out for a decent bit, not too long, but a decent bit, and I'm pretty confident in my knowledge about the meta currently in this current update. It's still evolving, obviously, but our current understanding of the meta is getting placed into a stone more, if you know what I mean. Getting set in stone, and I'm pretty confident that this tier list is fairly accurate of what the meta is. Obviously a tier list is subjective. I can try to make it as objective as possible, but in the end the tier list stays subjective. I'm ranking the towers only, so how effective the tower is right now. Some towers are lower ranked than you would think, because while they work in a certain combo, which that combo would be a very good combo, makes them a tower used in the meta. The tower itself is very niche and not that good overall. And one of them particularly has a lot of combos going for it, but I still wouldn't consider it a good tower itself because it's so niche. You'll see later. So one of the things I want to put in the clear is my tiers. For me, S tier is a meta strategy, is a meta tower, a strategy that is meta on a lot of maps, and if the map allows it to play it, it is very dominant. A tier or top tier towers that are very good, but not as like top tier challenged as S tier. S tier are really the top of the top. A tier are very top towers, very at the top and can dominate on a lot of other towers. A minus are those that are really good towers but couldn't quite get there. You know, they're good towers but they couldn't quite get to the top tier, so they're good towers. B for me is it's the rank where a tower is considered viable. This tower can be used viably to do things. Not meta strategies should still beat them, but there are viable strategies and can be used fairly reasonably. See, it's here for me is where it goes down. They're not viable, or they become more rarely viable, where they're only viable in certain cases, or are just right like that top, like they need that bit to become viable, but they're not viable in the middle. D tier, it's a bad tower. If it can be viable in a way, it's gonna be like on 1 or 2 maps on a very specific case, and even then they still get counters, so not the best. They're bad towers. It's D tier, and then E is just trash. It's just trash. Very bad tower, and I think I can already put the super monkey there. Just for putting the stone in super monkey. It's too expensive for what it's worth. It costs too much. You cannot use it early game in any capacities, mid game in any capacities. It just costs too much. Any other tower does a better job. It doesn't have camel detection, and even late game it costs so much that other towers are more effective. Even if Super Monkey is supposed to be the best late game tower, in boost only you just don't have the money. Cobra. Cobra is a tower that a lot of players don't like, because it's complicated to play against it when you don't really know what you're doing, and especially in this meta after the farm nerf, it becomes increasingly harder to play against Cobra. And I'll give Cobra a good shot. It's a top tier tower. Cobra is very strong. Its adjustment on double way maps combined with rushes and offensive pushes to even stop your enemy from getting more money that they would need to defend the adjustment. You can't just basically stomp on your enemies by just forcing them into a dream game, getting money on your side. Adjusting using offensive push to send rush you're not supposed to send, which is quite terrifying. You can use misdirection to just send a rush that they send to you, which is hilarious and very strong. You also, some underrated aspects are the fact that you can regenerate your boost faster. Very strong to defend all outs, to double rush with balloon boost. Also, it's just you make money with cobra. You make more money than equaling, so you make money for your own for the destruction of the enemy. It's a very strong tower. It works very well on itself, and it combos with so many duos that I don't think Cobra is gonna get out of the meta unless they buff some towers that would counter it very harshly. But it's not that god tier, you know, this S tier, because it got nerfed and the adjustment isn't that harsh on one-way maps. So you can defend the adjustment and you can win versus Cobra. You can send some all outs that kill some strategies on shorter maps. It is beatable, but on double way maps it still remains extremely strong. Even on single way map, it stays extremely strong. Very viable strategy, and definitely a meta pick for you to take. Next up on the list is the Dart Monkey. Now, the Dart Monkey, some people would not expect it where I would put it, but it's also for me a top tier tower. The Dart Monkey, we just came out of in the past we had Cobra and NG literally dominating the game before the dispatch, and those two towers did very well against Dart, although Dart did also very well against them. So Dart was kind of like the one tower that you could try to sneak a victory in more than any other towers, but still wouldn't be meta because you know the meta wasn't favorable for it. But now those towers got nerfed and Dart is very good overall. It's a I mean, Dart can be played on so many maps, it's ridiculous. You can play it from Swan Lake if you're crazy, offside, temple. It's completely, it's meta on a lot of maps too. It's meta on a lot of maps, but like currently it's hard to play, obviously targeting required, and the efficiency of spamming and spamming the correct amount of towers once you get them, the eco numbers. It's a complicated towers overall, but well played in the good hands. It's a very strong tower that can be played on so many maps, and it has a lot of versatility. Can be played with a lot of duos. You're gonna bring farm with darts. Now sniper is a new option, but it's very reserved for when you cannot use farms with it. So yeah, Dart, very strong meta tower. Just towers that were broken got nerfed, and Dart's now taking their place. Next on the list, tack shooter. Now tack shooter, some players would expect it to see at the top of the top in this string game meta, right? It's very strong, it's very cost effective, right? The tack shooter bullies rushes in general. You can boost without worrying because you can just maelstrom. You can just maelstrom rushes and it doesn't exist, you know. And all of that, that's very good. Well, the problem is that while tack shooter is very good in that part, you know, in just bullying rushes, right, and just being very cost effective, it also has two main weaknesses that are strong enough to make it go, you know, down the list. So the first of all is no camo detection. So it relies on other towers to give camo detection, which means that it has a limited amount of combos. You know, you cannot combine tack and bomb unless you have a mortar and then you have an eco strategy. Doesn't work. Same with village. You know, you have an eco strategy. Some towers you just cannot solo camos if you know. So you need some camo detection somewhere that can solo or give the camo detection to the tack shooter. So it limits the amount of combos you can do with it, and while some of them are very strong, the tack shooter also has a second weakness, and it's late game. late game it becomes way less effective. Even in this meta where it's drain game, you can find yourself going late game when you're facing good players. You're gonna drain them, and then it's still gonna end late game with a few farms where texture kind of falls off, but it can still hold on if the farms are very drained. But overall, a good tower, but its weaknesses keep it down from being a top tier tower, so it goes to the A-. As a strong tower that cannot that has strong enough weaknesses from stopping it from being a top tier tower. Also, another thing that I haven't said is that it's kind of spot reliant. You don't have a very good tack spot, it's not going to be able to do as well. And next tower, Ninja. Now, Ninja has a history of being in meta strategies, right? Ninja farm mortar, Ninja farm NG, Ninja eco strategies were strong way back. It's been in the meta quite a few times. It's received its fair share of balance changes, and I think they did a pretty good job with the Ninja overall. They nerfed it a lot. They nerfed the Bloon Jesus, the double shot, so early game not as well effective. It can be used as kind of as a super tower in some ways. Well, most of the time what you want to do with Ninja is surrounded by support, a lot of other support with the Ninja, like mortar, that is an amazing job mid game, things that can carry it through the mid game, and where it can go to the late game. Well, it has the Sabo that can reduce the speed of balloons by half. Or some of the case, you basically want to use the Ninja as either your main popping power with a lot of support, so that it can complete its job and then go late game and slow down balloons, or you want to use it Ninja as a support tower as a slowdown option while still having some DPS in a way if you're missing some. So the famous combo Ninja farm NG, where the NG carries the mid game. Sometimes you need some camo detection, Ninja pops in, right? It can take care of the leaking camos that the trap lets behind, and then it also takes care of the advantage that Ninja has a big Sabo, which slows down balloons by half, which is really strong. Definitely one of the strongest abilities in the game. But they nerfed it a lot, so most of the time it needs a lot of things to make it work, or the Ninja is used as a support. So to me, it's a viable tower, but not much. It can be very well used in combos like with NG, but overall, it's a viable tower, but nothing more. Bump tower. Alright, here's where it gets interesting. The bump tower is a tower that it's probably the most niche tower in the game, where it's it's the best in the game at what it's good at, and then it's really bad at other things, so bad that it cancels it pretty much. So what is the bomb good at? The bomb is really good at cleanup mid game. The cluster, amazing cleanup. Basically cleanups everything you want, just take care of those black layers and the bomb will do the rest of the job, right? As long as you have a decent cluster spot, which there is a decent amount of them, the bomb will clean up the rest of it. You can still have an impact that will stun the balloons, which is amazing, and allows you to defend all outs and stuff like that. The other thing is bomb is really good at is mob popping power. The maulers, the goal of the maulers is literally mob popping power. They're very strong at popping mobs. Maulers late game can be very I mean, it's what they're made for, right? They're very good. They're the most cost effective towers in terms of mob damage. And then you have also the assassins for the Zunji layers, right? So very good tower late game too because of that power. Now then, if it's so good at those two things, and overall good at other things, would be fine, right? But the problem is that bomb 1 doesn't have camo detection. Same problem as tech shooter. Camo detection coming in as a problem. It needs support for all of the camo detections, so limiting the amount of combos, which in a niche tower that is already reliant on combos, that hurts, right? And then the other thing is that while you would expect it to have good peers, the peers of the clusters are actually limited. You will often need multiple impacts for late game if you want to base yourself out of the bombs for cleanup, which is not very effective. And also late game, even though you spam a lot of maulers, you become kind of boost reliant, because fast cooldown ZMGs, they'll make you chase a lot because they have AoE popping power. It's not that big of an AoE popping power when you talk about maulers. So those weaknesses make it so it has a few combos like Dartling farm bomb. It combos well with cobra, where the bomb is used for cleanup mid game because the cobras take care of the upper layers. And that's pretty much where it ends. You can see with sub in some cases, with cobra and with Dartling, that's pretty much where it ends. But it's when it's combined with those towers and it feels that specific niche that they need, it's very strong. So in this case, I think that bomb is a viable tower, but because of how niche it is, it doesn't really deserve to be considered to be A- or above. To me, it's a viable tower in itself. Sniper monkey. Now the sniper monkey, it's interesting because last update it was right there. Last update, it was right there in the trust tier, right next to the super monkey. Their little friends right there. But they gave it a huge buff to one upgrade, and the upgrade is the cash drop. Yeah, they made the cash drop 4 times more effective than before. Holy cow, that's a buff. And then they also made that upgrade, right, the ability cash drop, they also made it so that it shoots twice as fast now. So now it's 2 snipers basically in one, and it gives you the cash drops that are now more cost effective than eco. Yay, finally! More cost effective than eco. And that allows sniper to become a farm, basically. Now the thing is, farm is still pretty much dominant in the parting of making money, right? Sniper is not going to replace that unless you cannot place farms. In this case, sniper becomes your way of making more money. Cobra, NG, Heli, they don't make as much money as sniper, so sniper becomes a replacement for farm. So, and sniper is also some popping power, right? And then you also have the left side upgrades where you can stun ZMGs. Can be effective in drain games in a way. But overall, the left side isn't that useful. But the most interesting part is the fact that it gives money and it basically guarantees a survival mid game because of the faster shooting. Yeah, the 2-3 sniper basically guarantees survival in the mid game. Now the problem with sniper farming is that you cannot sniper farm at the start of the game, right? It's a 4-tier ability, right? So that creates a problem where you have to rely on eco early game and then translate for the late game to the sniper farms. Which, as you can tell, you use the sniper mid game to guarantee your survival with a 2-3, but that anti-sells. So while you can get S farms that are more cost effective than eco, you kind of hurt your eco on the way of getting your snipers because you anti-sell yourself. But it's a guaranteed mid game, and overall the upgrade is very good on the sniper. And there's also the fact that the village, it's a very strong combo. The village can reduce the cooldown of abilities by 50%. So basically they make the sniper farms twice as efficient, which is ridiculous. They become more cost effective than farms. It's that simple, right? They become more effective than farms. So the problem is that combo makes it so you only have one left tower to combine it with, and I'll talk with that combo later. But overall, the sniper buff made sniper, a replacement for farm when you don't have enough farm placements. It can be played as some strategies as a replacement for farm, like bomb, sniper, mortar, where they wouldn't survive without the sniper, and it allows it to have a farm while still surviving, which to me makes sniper a viable strategy, but not much because it can kind of hurt itself on the way. And well, it's still not a farm, you know. It's not as effective as the banana farm, but it's more than eco, and it gives a selling power late game to send allies. So viable, but I wouldn't put it higher than that. Alright, so next we have the boomerang. Alright. Now the boomerang's an interesting tower because a few balance changes ago it would be pretty much here, right? You know, it's only good early game. It's extremely strong early game, but it's only good early game, right? So it would be bottom tier. But the thing is that they decided to nerf towers a lot, and they made the drain game meta, drain game meta. And what happens in a drain game meta on short maps? You basically only need to survive the early game, and the early game is pretty much the only thing that matters. So what happens is that boomerang becomes literally a god on short maps. Maps like Mountain Pass, Industrial Zone, Indoor Pools, Glacier, all those short maps, boomerang is a mother freaking god. Problem is, you take it out of short maps, nada. It's not good. But on short maps, it's a freaking god, and just the fact that on short maps it's so dominant makes boomerang able to be a top tier tower on the tier list, just because of how dominant it is on short maps. Now you have some loadouts that can compete with boomerang, like Dart from Wiz, for example, on Mountain Pass. But overall, boomerang will dominate a lot of strategies on short maps. Boomerang is so strong on short maps. Bionic Boomer, one of the strongest abilities in the game. The strongest ability in the game on short maps. Yeah, the fact that you can have a free boost while not having a boost, crazy, gives it camo detection. Just a crazy tower on short maps. But since it's so reserved to short maps, I cannot put it in the S tier because, well, it's only reserved to short maps. But it's so good there that, you know, deserve the higher spot. Wizard, I'll just put in the rank. To me, Wizard is possibly the most balanced tower of all. Wouldn't say so, but it's a fairly balanced tower overall. I don't really see much reason in changing how it works. It works as a kind of support tower with its cheap lead popping power, the fact that it detects camos, and overall it can also be used as a main tower. You know, it lightning the fire wizard, good popping power overall. Late game it has the phoenixes, you know, it's a good popping power. It can be used as a main tower or as a support, as in the combos Dart Farm Wiz, where Wiz is your lead popping power and it's basically a support. And with Tack Shooter, it supplies the need for camo detection. So overall, the Wizard, it's a fairly, you know, it's a viable tower, but it's not overpowered in any way. It has, you know, its little weaknesses. I think the thing is that Wizard, it kind of doesn't really have many weaknesses, like regions, that's a weakness. GMGs inside, you know, mass ceramics, that's a weakness. But, you know, there's not many weaknesses in themselves. It has strengths, but her strengths are not like, you know, like being the best mob popping power in the game, being the best early game tower in the game. It doesn't have anything standing out, you know, which makes it a very I would say a very flat tower, where it doesn't have much going for it, but it doesn't have anything very going against it. So it makes Wizard able to be in, you know, combined with a lot of towers in general. It can combine with so many towers, it's impressive, legit. But, you know, it still doesn't have enough going for it. And it still has a few weaknesses that, for me, it's a viable tower, but, you know, not much. Alright, now, Spike Factory. It's a little of a star right now. People are going hype over the Spike Factory buff. But the thing is, with the Spike Factory, if you realize, it only pretty much get comboed with the Engineer. And that's for a reason. The Engineer bases his gameplay most possible. I hope you're doing this. You base your gameplay on the fact that you get a trap. The trap will get money. It'll just suck all the balloons before mobs, and yeah, but it can cause some leaks, especially with camos. Cleansing film is not consistent. It cannot get all of the camos, and so you want something to get rid of those leaks, and then also have mob popping power behind it. And Spike Factory, it fills that job. Spikes, that's their job, taking leaks. Well, the leaks of the trap, they're gonna be few and in between. The Spike Factory is gonna take care of them very nicely. If you get all out, you can just Spike Storm. And then mobs, well, you have the mob shredders, right? Is that what they're called? Yeah, mob shredders. The mob shredder upgrade. And then you also have the Spike Storms for all out mobs, and then recently they buffed it so that Spike Mines actually works and is usable, and now it defends around 22 all out with the combo of Engineer Farm Spike Factory. If the map's long enough, it's not gonna work on Glacier. So yeah, it got buffed, it made it better, but like I said, it works well with Engineer. But then you think about it, what else does it work with? Basically nothing. It basically doesn't combo with anything else than Engineer. The only other combo they can think of is Boomerang, where Spike Factory is your camo detection and your mob popping power, and if they send too much of a camo rush, you can turbo. That's pretty much the only other combo, and even then, it's a pretty weak combo. It's very hard to farm with it, so only usable with Cobra, and then it's reserved to short maps. It's so niche, but the fact that it has that one combo that's going up for it with the Engineer, and what I'm gonna talk about the Engineer later, the fact that it has that one combo going on with the Engineer means that it's a niche tower that sometimes gets viable, very rarely, but sometimes gets viable. So it's not a bad tower, it's not a terrible tower, it's not D tier, but I cannot say Spike Factory is viable. It's so niche. It adds that it's comboed with 2 towers, and even then it's not meta in any way. So I'm sorry, Spike Factory, kind of a star right now, but you get carried. I'm just gonna say it. The Spike Factory gets carried, and it just fulfills that tiny niche that is needed for the Engineer Boomerang. So yeah, you're not viable. Next, the Glue Gunner. Now the Glue Gunner is funny because it's funny how Ninja Kiwi messed up twice in a row with the Glue Gunner, which I found pretty much hilarious. But they finally made it the way they wanted. 33% slow on the mobs, and they should have just kept it at 50% because I don't think it's viable anymore. It has some, you can make it work in a way. Dartling farm glue being very aggressive, the glue used for the mid game, and then slow the mobs down, which you kind of need, and also for the inside popping power. With farm glue, I don't know, both farm glue, all of them, like all of the glue strategies you can think of, heck, even sub glue eco, glue strategies you can think of, they're not really viable, but they're not terrible, right? They're not viable strategies, but they're not terrible. There's a decent amount of glue combos. None of them are very much viable. Some of them might be considered viable, but not really. But none of them are terrible. They're playable, right? They're just playable, but not viable. And there's enough of them for me to say that Glue Gunner is not a terrible tower, and that is, it's rarely viable, so deserves its spots in C tier. Ice Tower, hello Ice Tower. It's unfortunate because you got a big Ice Shark nerf of $800 a few updates ago, and you're going here. Ice Tower kind of relied on the fact that it can go late game, and use its ice shards and its stall to basically dominate other strategies, making Heli farm ice a very I mean, it was completely broken. Heli farm ice, Wiz farm ice, two combos that were extremely strong and made ice very meta strategies. They nerfed it, and then they nerfed farm, which allowed it to go to the late game. Ice has seen a very insane decrease in usage, for reasons. I mean, basically what happened is that Ice was kind of that situational tower that was very good for the meta that we were in, where it was easy to go for the late game, unless you were playing against Ninja Farm NG. And now that thing just doesn't really happen anymore. So Ice needs, to help, so it can still do really good late game. You can still use it to start a game, ice shredding, even though it's not very consistent. It can be done. So you can start with it in some rare cases, with Heli. Mid game can still be used, but in general, it's just the tower just doesn't fit in the meta, right? Like, Ice Tower itself feels balanced, but there's nothing that goes with it to make it work. And that what makes it unviable to me is that while it has some strong points going in for it, the meta just isn't shifting its way anymore. It's a drain game meta, and Ice doesn't fit in here. It just doesn't work. What can I say more? It just doesn't work anymore. But it still has some points, and a very good player with some good ice shredding, some good heli targeting, and some good knowledge about the game can make it work in some very rare cases, like Dread Bloon, Heli Farm Ice Dread Bloon. Shapes if you're corny and you're insane. But in no capacities is it viable in my thoughts. Please stop talking about Dartling Farm Ice. It makes me cringe every single time. People say it's a late game strategies. It doesn't even beat most of the strategies late game, because Dartling Gun is not strong enough with ZMG popping power by itself, and it just doesn't work. You, like I said, can make it work with Heli and Wizard. That's pretty much it. And the cases are pretty reserved in the map, so reserved that it's so rarely viable that I cannot say it's a viable tower in any way. So yeah, that's the Ice Tower. Now the Ace Monkey. Hi there, Ace Monkey. A lot of people love you for some good reasons. The Ace Monkey is very strong late game tower. GZ Spectre's amazing late game tower. Now you need to go to the late game in the string meta. Oh, that's kind of a problem. Well, actually, mid game the Ace can be used. Yeah, mid game you can use ODS and just target micro your way to the late game. Now, Ace is a very skilled tower if you talk about mechanical skills. If you want to make the most use out of it, you need to be able to target it to make sure that the Ace is where you want it to be on the screen, and that can make the Ace very strong if you're able to do it. ODS micro is extremely strong while used. It can do some things that you wouldn't expect it to be able to do, but overall, even without it, it's still a very strong tower, right? And the fact that Ace is so good late game makes it so that it's worth it to like go darts and literally just use the dart for its early game presence and just bring it to the late game where Ace shines. So basically you can just pick up towers that carries Ace to the late game with enough money, and it can make it very good, basically allowing Ace to shine. That's your goal basically. And it's so good late game with Ground Zero and Spectres that to me it's more than just a viable tower. But the problem is there's more and more short maps, meaning there's in comparison less long maps. So I wouldn't say Ace is a top tier tower. It still has the problem where you need to carry it to the late game. ODS is still an expensive tower. It's 4,200, something like that. Just the right side without left side upgrades. it's an expensive tower, and so it has some weaknesses, right? And you need to carry it kind of to the point where it can get good. But overall, it's a strong tower, but I wouldn't say it's a top tier tower. So yeah, mortar, one of my personal favorites, my second favorite tower in the game. Mortar is kind of special because it's a very strong tower, but people never realized it for some reason. Yeah, heck, even me never really realized how good mortar is until like bolt farm mortar was discovered, which I'll talk about later. Mortar was just straight up underestimated this entire time, and people realized it now, and now people are the heck out of abusing it. Cobra bomb mortar, cobra tack mortar farms, bolt farm mortar. Heck, you can even go dart farm mortar if you're crazy. Ninja farm mortar and some rare cases. You can use mortar in so many ways, and the reason it's so good is mid game. It's such a good group popping power. It's an insanely strong group popping power. Burning stuff can shred shred layers. Buster is just straight up clean up popping power. Legit, it's a little tiny bit worse than cluster for cleanup, and then you have the Bernie stuff on top of it, and then you can have the big one against all outs. If they send you all outs around 13 and you have enough to sell for the big one, you can just straight up get a big one. Under a boost will basically clean up all outs too. It's so strong mid game. It allows you to grit to insane levels, especially combo with like boats and stuff like that. You can grit so much with mortar. And the other thing that mortar is good at is that it has a mother freaking stall. How do I say this? It's so good mid game, and then it has the stall for the late game. So basically, with mortar, you're so good mid game that you have, the draining privilege, where you can easily get more money, and then you can drain your enemy. And then late game, where you get infiltrators a lot of money, you can just send an all out, and you just mortar stall and wait for their death while they can't do anything because their rush is going to be way slower than yours. And you just wait for their death, mortar stalling, and that's the strength of the tower. It's an extremely strong tower to use mid game. With its insane group popping power, it can completely deny all out. It's also a camo. It gives camo detection. It removes camo from the Bloons. I forgot to talk about it, but it removes camos straight up. So it's a decamoing tower, very strong. Just the fact that it's a decamoing tower gives it a lot more potential. And group popping power, mid game greeting, camo detection, and then late game stalling. Such a strong tower. It's been underrated this entire time, and I'm glad that it gets the recognition that it has now. So definitely a top tier tower, but it's still a support tower, and it's not a main tower, and I don't think it can be considered a god tier tower, as it's not a main tower, it's a support tower, and you do need some main firing power to carry it in a way. So yeah, farm, yeah, do I need to talk about this? I don't think I need to talk about this. If you play Bloons, you know that farm. If you play Bloons, you know that farm is S tier. That's basically it. Farm, it's been. Well, in the past it was SSS tier, not only S tier, but extremely strong. It's basically used almost everywhere. Where is it not used? Ice Flow. It doesn't even have a farm spot. Well, it has, but no one uses it. It's basically used everywhere, unless you want to go like a cobra strategy, or you want to go for an eco strategy because you're weird, like me, or you want to go sniper strategies. If you don't bring anything to farm, you're a huge disadvantage, because farm gives so much money that it just, you have one less tower in your loadout, but you have 10 times more money, so the 2 towers that you bring with your loadout can be used 10 times more efficiently. You know, I wouldn't say 10 times, like I would say like 3 times more efficiently, but it's so strong. It's just money. What matters in this game is money. Money is so important in this game, and Banana Farm is just straight up a money making tower, and that's what makes it so meta everywhere. Like I said, there's very rare cases of meta strategies not being farm. In this case, cobra or sniper. But like I said, sniper is just a worse farm for when there's not enough farms placement, like ice flow, castle, whiskey. Very rare cases where sniper shines, and the farm is just it's played everywhere, for God's sake, you know. So yeah, I don't think I need to spend more time. You play Bloons TD Battles, you know farm is S tier. Village. All right. Remember what I said earlier about sniper village? Yeah, if it wasn't for that sniper combo, village would definitely be in a C tier tower. And for another combo that's coming, village is straight up a support tower. It can help give you more eco, gives camo detection, the +1 pierce that has some broken combos. But the problem is that village, unless you get the beacon, even then it just doesn't really pop anything. So it helps other things pop anything, but itself it doesn't pop anything. It can give some money, reduce prices. It's a support tower, and the thing is that the thing with village that it's a support tower that isn't very good in and of itself, because there's very rare combos that goes with it, and you're basically forced to go eco unless you go like wizard farm village, and in this case you get drained because you rely on wizard alone. Village in general is just, you know, in general it would be here, right? You know, it's a support tower, but you're forced to go eco against farms. Not good, not a good thing. In and of itself, it doesn't pop anything, even though it helps others. It's one less tower for half a tower, basically. But you know, it has its, it's a support tower for some cases, like you need camel detection or stuff like that. So you know, it was niche, right? Very niche for some eco strategies, and rarely viable. But with sniper, it doubles the efficiency of the sniper, and now it's a farm. Hey! It's used as a farm. Now the thing, while it's still saying B tier, is that since you only get one other tower to combo with it, even though you get call to arms, which is one of the strongest abilities in the game, it's rare that you can really use it because it's so expensive. Call to arms, and another tower needs to carry. That's very rare, and nothing really survives in this case, but it can be used for some decently strong draining strategies like Dart Sniper Village, where you get so much money that you just drain your enemy before the late game and win like that. So that's kind of a new strategy that came out with the update. You can also go Tack Village Sniper, which is another draining strategy. So with the combo of Sniper, there's just also one combo I didn't talk about for a specific reason. Yeah, with this update specifically, with Sniper specifically, Village would be C tier, but because it has this specific combo, Village is in B tier. I really don't like how Village, every time it's been viable, is that a broken combo is discovered. Basically, an exploit is discovered with the Village, which makes it viable. I don't really like that feature. I really hope that NK goes into fixing a lot of exploits with the Village and just making the tower itself better, right? That would be very good. Just make the tower itself better. Make it cheaper, just make it cheaper. Make it usable, and make it so that you don't rely on exploits to make it good. Alright. Now, Buccaneer. Oh my god, the boat. Monkey Buccaneer. Right now, I believe that boat is the strongest tower in the game. Now you might say, wait, but egulio, isn't boat like only reserved to water, right? So you can't put it on land, so you can't be the strongest tower in the game. Well, the thing is that it's so good of a tower that if it's a water map, you don't even think about bringing anything but boat. If it's a water map, you bring boat. Boat is the meta on water maps, and that's it. That's all. It's if there's water to put your boat, enough water to put enough boats, it is meta. Straight up, no saying. And then, like, okay, but it's boat farm, right? So why is farm not, stronger than boat? Well, it's because that's not true. You can go boat cobra, for God's sake. So that's another thing. Boat is not reliant on farm to be good. So farm, I don't think, is better than boat, but it's arguable. All right, I will say boat is arguable. Boat can be arguably worse on the placement. Like, you can change them, right? You can change it to. Why does it not change? Okay, you can change it to, but in my personal opinion, boat is the strongest because of one last thing. Boat sniper village. Whew. This strat is one heck of a problem right now. Boat village sniper, the most boasted late game strategy in the game. So you're saying, wait, but didn't you say that one tower alone would be a problem? Yeah, it's a problem unless this tower gets buffed by 16 times. You heard me right. The boat under a call to arms village gets buffed by 16 times. The aircraft carrier upgrade on the boats, which makes it spawn planes. The problem is that those planes have one pierce, and the village upgrade the village 01 upgrade makes that +1. So 1 + 1, that's a double. It already right there. That's makes it twice as more powerful. All right. Without even the ability, just by itself, it makes the aircraft carrier 2 times more effective. Whew. All right. So then, what does the call to arms do to make it pass from 2 times more powerful to 16? It doubles the pierce. It doubles the attack speed. Now I might say, wait, but isn't that just 8 times more powerful? It would be if the spawning of the planes wouldn't be considered an attack. So basically, you spawn double more planes that are all 8 times more buffed. So yeah, the boat gets buffed by 16 times by the village, which combined with enough money to pull it off, to put enough aircraft carriers and call to arms late game, is busted. It goes around 40, which no other strat in the game right now can. Unless you go some specific niche tower to counter it. In this case, it wouldn't even work because the last tower, sniper. Like I said, sniper on their village is the only time it gives more money than farm. So in this case, you have bolt village, which is already a combo, and then you put sniper and you have more money than the farm. You don't even need the farm in the first place. You can survive all ultimate game because of the sniper. The only problem with the strategy is round 20, round 22, round 24 all-outs. They are defendable, but they are so hard to defend that I'm not allowed to say that this is the meta. Because the amount of micro needed to pull off the defense on those rounds is so hard that 3-4 players in the game can do it. That's how hard it is. It requires insane micro and money management and general just management over the game to be able to defend until those points. But if you're good enough, and in theory it defends, meaning that it can go late game, guaranteed a late game, make more money than farm with sniper, and survive the longest. Completely busted strategy. But that one weakness to the all-outs makes it so that it's so rare that it's meta that I wouldn't dare put the village or the sniper higher by themselves. But the boat will, the fact that the boat is the main core popping power at the core of this, while boat is also meta without this strategy, makes it so that boat is stronger than farm and the strongest tower in the game. Because if there's water, if there's not if there's 5 volt spots, it's meta. It's such a strong tower. It's so cost effective. The early game, the mid game, even the late game is strong enough. But overall, just the mid game issues. What can I say? It's the best tower in the game. I don't think I have to say more. I'll just pull the gun. It's the best tower in the game. It's so good at so many points, and it barely has. It's one weakness late game. Even then, it's pretty weaknesses. It's still good late game. It NK nerf Buccaneer. Yeah, this tower needs to be nerfed. Yeah, I think I've talked enough about the boat. You understand my opinion on it. Dartling gun, my favorite tower in the game. I'll just put you right there. There you go. Dartling gun's interesting. It's good on short maps. Very good combo with boomerang. So right there, it deserves a higher spot because there's a lot of short maps, and its combo with it's the fact that it's solid. It's the way to if I had one word to choose to describe the Dartling gun, it would be greed. It's the best tower to greed in the entire game, even above boat. And that's what makes Dartling strong. It's so good at grading, so early game it's very powerful, short maps very powerful tower. But then round 20 when it comes to mod popping power, it gets cut right off. So very strong early game. Definitely one of the strongest early game towers. Behind the boomerang, maybe behind the tack shooter. But that's it. It's at the top for the early game. Very strong tower. But it's so niche in that one thing, in the fact that it's so niche at greeting, that can't really put it higher. It has that one other combo that makes it A- instead of B. Is Dartling Farm Bomb, where you use the greeting of the Dartling and its camel detection to carry bomb late game, where it can completely bully the other towers with the maulers, and with the fact that you could greet a lot of farms. So that's a strong combo that with the cobra nerf and the energy nerf makes it so that it gets countered less, and actually a better strategy. But in and of itself, the Dartling is niche, but it can still be played on a lot of overall places generally well, and it's a good tower. It's not busted. It's more than viable. It's good. It's a good tower. What can I say more? It's a good tower. Not much, not less. It's a good tower. It has its weaknesses, it has its strengths. It's a unique tower, and I love it, and it deserves its spot in A-. Heli Pilot. I remember when you were right there. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. You got nerfed 4 times. Yay, you got nerfed 4 freaking times. And the last time you got nerfed so hard, you passed from S tier to D tier because not only were you nerfed, but the combos that you were in, Heli Farm Ice, all 3 towers of the combo got nerfed. Your only combo in reliability gone. You're no more a top tier tower. You're just straight up a bad tower. Your only combo is the only way that people still play you. The only way you can still work, and even then it's on Dread Bloon. Offside if you're crazy, roadblock if you're crazy, shapes if you're crazy. Yeah, you need to be crazy to go Heli Farmers unless it's dribbler. It's a bad tower now. It's been nerfed way too much. Also, it's way too polarizing on the fact that you literally only use the left side upgrades outside of the camo. Right side never used. It's such a polarizing tower, and it's so expensive now that it's just straight up a bad tower. You can go so many things and just do better than it. It costs so much you can't rush with it, and it costs so much you get drained while not rushing. So you just end up in the pit, and yeah, I think it's been over nerfed. I think the Heli was fine last update. Generally, people were complaining about Heli. They were more complaining about farm and ice, I'll be honest. And I think if they didn't apply the nerf to the Heli, maybe a little nerf to the Razor Warders, maybe a little bit to the Razor Warders, it would have been a viable tower. It would have been a balanced tower, but they decided to nerf it way too much. And to me, it's a bad tower. It's the only cases you can use it. It's a very specific combo that is so good together, Heli Ice, that it can kind of work. But the tower itself, Heli, is just it's so expensive. It's bad. All right, NG, everyone favorite tower to hate on because it's been meta for 2 years, and they decided to finally nerf it enough so that it's not S tier. Yay! All right. So they nerfed it enough. Where does it end? Is it? I just said it's not A tier. Is it A tier? Is it E tier? Did they kill it? Is it C? Is it B? It's A minus. They nerfed it, but the concept of the engineer is still there. It's still a trap. It still denies rushes mid game almost entirely outside of camo. This denies all rushes outside of camo, and you need to send a decently sized camo rush to pass the trap. You give them money on the side. It's a tower that gives money so they can invest into farms, and it's a tower that is still very much in itself. It has the strong point that it had is still existent. It's not busted. It's not such a strong, overpowered point to the fact that it makes it meta, because at one point it's so fabulously strong that it makes so much money combined with farms that it can literally send rushes that drain all strategies known in the game. That's not it's not as polarizing anymore, right? They nerfed it by 25%. What that means is that it's still there. It still makes a lot of money. It's still like a crazy lot of money. You can still great early game with it. You can, they haven't changed that. And it still makes a hell of a lot of money out of the ceramic rounds. But it's just that they just nerfed it enough so that it's not to the point where it kills everything in the game. And it's to the point where some strategies can pull out ahead of it. But if you're skilled at rushing and you're very skilled at farming, you can still very much make it a very viable strategy. And on some maps, still viable. Offside it's still meta. It's a engineer, still very good tower. But I wouldn't say it's a top tier tower because it also relies on maps. They buffed the sprockets. It's very niche. Sprockets so niche, but it's a good add to the game, and I think engineer is in a decent spot right now overall. I would like to see the right side more counterbalanced, but overall I think the engineer right now it's in a good spot. Wouldn't really change it. They've done a good job this update. No one complains about NG anymore. Good players can still use it if they want. NG players can still use it. They want to have fun. Yeah, it's a viable tower. It's a more than viable tower, and I wouldn't disagree with its placement on the tier list right now. Bloonchipper, hey Bloonchipper. Yay. Yeah, you've been there for a while, haven't you? Yeah, since you know the day that they decided that you can't suck CMGs anymore. Yeah, yeah, you're still there, huh? Yeah, you just got buffed. Hey, it's a support tower. It stalls, but it doesn't install ZMGs. It's a very expensive stall at that. Oh yeah, it's an expensive stall. You help mid game, but not that much. You still, you help mid game, but other towers mid game are better than you. Yeah, you're a bad tower. Yeah, you only have one combo in the game, and it's Wizard from Chipper, and it's not viable. Yeah, it's a bad tower. It doesn't. The thing with Chipper is that it doesn't actually have a strong point. I would say is that it doesn't do a lot. It does so little that it's just a bad tower. It's way too niche, and there's no towers that can fulfill that niche because it's a niche that's demands too much. No camel detection, CNG popping power, mid game main popping power. That's a lot, and I don't think it's viable at all. Worse than Heli Pilot, second worst tower in the game, definitely. So I just said that Chipper was the second worst tower in the game and the Super Monkey the worst. So you're definitely not the second worst tower in the game, and in fact you're the fourth worst tower in the game. Ha! And I just lied because it's the fifth. Okay. Sits here. Same problem as all the towers you've seen in Seats here. It's niche. Alright, not all because Buccaneer, it's not niche, it's just not good. It's a niche tower, so it can be viable in some rare cases. You need a map with a good reactor spot where it can shine. And then you also need some late game popping power because you do the zoom Gs, it does the zoom Gs, doesn't do anything else. It does the zoom Gs, the rest has to be other towers, and it's very expensive to do the zoom Gs with this tower. So it's just way too niche, right? It's used for its reactor, and if it can't use its reactor, it's not a usable tower. So you need a reactor spot, and even then, I wouldn't even say it's a meta strategy. That's the problem. It's not a meta strategy, even if you have the red reactor spot, unless very specific cases. And even lost effectiveness on like Ice Flow. Ice Flow used to be king, right? Now you have Sniper, so it's not king anymore. Yeah, because you have Sniper, but yeah, it's not king anymore. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, gotta accept reality. Sub is way too niche to be considered a viable tower. It's viable when the niche is fulfilled, but the niche is too rare and the map's too few for me to consider it a viable tower. Alright, so that's my current tier list of the meta for 6.9.1 based only. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this video of me explaining my thoughts on the meta for each tower. Hope it wasn't too long or boring or anything. I think I did a pretty good job, and yeah. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, comment down below, share this video, and I'll see you guys another time.